Hey, it's me, GV, and welcome to a guide for Pokémon Legends ZA. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how to beat the 10-course battle in Restaurant Le Wow, I believe it's called. A lot of people are probably going to know about this one because it is one of the hardest things to do, if not the hardest, in Pokémon Legends ZA. Basically, you have to get through 10 battles in a row without using any items. So obviously, before we get into this, the higher level your Pokemon are, the easier that this will be. So obviously, if you need to train them up and get a team that has a decent power level, definitely do that as much as you can. It's kind of that offset thing where you can get through it much quicker if you have a better stacked team. But if you want to just power grind, you can also do that. Anyways, here is Restaurant Le Wow. We're going to travel there. I've already done this successfully, so every time you want to do this afterwards, it's going to cost you 100,000 Poké Dollars, and I will be running through my team here as well in just a second. Now, one thing that I want to say is I, by no means, am a Pokemon expert at all. I was able to do this much earlier with a much weaker team. Pretty much, it comes down to spamming buttons as quickly as you can, like getting that attack out before your opponent. That's like critical, especially if you're using a super effective move. So nothing here is too crazy. For Alligator, that has a Mega Stone, Pangoro, Tyrantrum, which basically just spams Earthquake, Chandelure with a Mega Stone as well, Noivern with not much, just basically as a 5th team member, and Ampharos as well with not much, basically just as a 6th team member. It's really going to come down to the first 4 Pokemon in my team. And as you're going to see, I make some big mistakes near the end. We still get through it, but yeah, there's a lot of room for mistakes here. And again, I am by no means a Pokemon expert. This is basically just how I was able to do it multiple times with this team here. So let's get into it. So this first battle is what sucks, because basically she's going to spam Toxic, and then if your Pokemon get Toxic, they're Toxic for the entire 10 battle gauntlet. So it's awful. Basically, you want to kill these Pokemon as quickly as humanly possible and have the Toxic go on Pokemon you don't care about. So I'm immediately going to Ice Fang this Victory Bell and get it out of there immediately. And then I'm going to switch over to Tyrantrum to basically absorb the Toxic. You kind of have to sacrifice a Pokemon. Also, you want a Pokemon that can deal some damage, so this Tyrantrum is able to Earthquake and then Fire Fang, I believe, to take out the Scolipede. And then finally, we have Garbodor here. So again, make sure whatever Pokemon are out here are Pokemon you don't mind getting Toxiced. Or if you have some way to avoid Toxic entirely, go for that. But yeah, the Toxic getting on your Pokemon is really what makes this a giant pain in the ass, because then they have that Toxic for, you know, all of these 10 battles. So this next guy is going to have 3 fire Pokemon, so I definitely recommend obviously using water here or anything that's super effective against fire. Pretty much what I do here is I basically just spam Liquidation on Feraligatr. I think I use Earthquake here as well against the Camerupt, who is ground fire, I believe. So I think the Earthquake takes him out immediately. And then a big thing is make sure to switch to different Pokemon while the enemy is sending out their next Pokemon. So while he's sending out Talonflame, I'm immediately switching over to Feraligatr and then just spamming Liquidation as fast as I possibly can. Again, that's a huge thing here, is getting your move out before the enemy gets their move out, because this is a war of attrition. So if you can like not take damage on your Pokemon, that's really what's going to get you through this. Now for this next round, all that I do is pretty much use my Mega Evolution to absolutely destroy these next 3 Pokemon. It's like a setup situation where they're trying to set up a bunch of stuff. I don't really care about that. I'm going to Mega Evolve for Alligator and then just spam them with Liquidation, which just has so much damage, even without being level 90, that like this usually got me through this particular 3rd battle here. So that's another big thing, is the Mega Evolution. You obviously want to use it whenever you think it's a good idea. You'll typically have it up a lot of the time, meaning like you can probably get, I don't know, 3, 4, maybe even 5 Mega Evolutions if you're just spamming it throughout this 10 battle gauntlet. I think I only end up using it maybe 1 to 3 times. So it's definitely not critical, but if you just need that extra little bit of damage, like with this, section right here, you can basically see even with the reflect and whatever else they're using to set up, I'm just one-shotting them with liquidation because Feraligatr is Mega Feraligatr with that giant, disgusting toilet seat lid above his head, which looks awful. So for this next fight, this guy is going to start with an Avalugg. I am going to switch to my Chandelure. My Chandelure has so much damage, and Avalugg sets up with some stuff. So basically, I'm going to use that time to use Calm Mind and buff up my Chandelure, and then just pretty much use either Shadow Ball or Flamethrower. So since Avalugg is Ice type, I'm going to use Calm Mind and then hit him with the Flamethrower, and it is just going to deal so much damage. And you can see with Calm Mind, I'm not taking much damage from that Icicle Crash as well, although I can't remember if that is physical or special, so maybe it doesn't even matter. Anyways, sends out Sableye, so I'm going to immediately hit it with a Shadow Ball, just obliterated as it's trying to set up here. Chandelure just has so much damage. And then it sends out the Noivern, and I Calm Mind here, which I probably did not need to do. What I most likely should have done was just hit Shadow Ball immediately, and down goes Noivern for this 4th round, just pure damage basically coming out here. So you have to kind of make a choice. Do you want to just keep the Pokemon that you already have out? Because when you're switching around, it obviously takes time for them to be able to do anything. So here I make the choice to basically keep Chandelure out because I know that it's just going to have so much damage and they're not really going to be able to do anything. And you want to space out these Mega Evolutions so that they can basically carry you. So here I'm going to Mega Evolve Chandelure, and again, I just know his damage is going to be so much that it doesn't really matter. This thing is not going to be able to put up with it. So we do a Flamethrower, and it is just obliterated. Next out, he's going to send out Gengar. I am spamming Shadow Ball as quickly as possible, and you'll notice here I get it out just a split second before his Gengar, because Ghost v Ghost is obviously super effective. Finally, sends out a Steelix, which is Steel, thus weak to Fire, and gets obliterated by the Fire. I forget if Steelix has another type that counteracts that, but anyways, it is enough to get through that part. Now I'm yet again keeping out Chandelure because this woman is going to send out a Scizor first, which is Steel Bug, I believe. So once again, I guess that's quad weak to Fire. I didn't even realize that. I was just thinking about the Steel typing. So yeah, once again, we're going to keep out Chandelure and just spam Flamethrower. A lot of the time, these people are trying to set up things, and if you just have the damage, it will obliterate them. As you can see there, the Chandelure is dead. Now, Aegis Slash is weird because it has that ability with the shield and the sword and whatever. So a lot of the time when you hit it, it's just flat out not going to do anything. So I immediately hit it with a Will-o'-the-Wisp just to get a burn on it. It might have not been the best thing to do, but I get the Shadow Ball in there and it obliterates him because he's obviously Ghost. And then finally, Lucario with the Steel typing is going to get hit by an immediate Flamethrower. It literally doesn't even do anything before it expires. So you can see Chandelure just carries the heck out of this. So next up, this is where I start to make some mistakes. I honestly should have just stuck with what was working, but I try to strategize a little bit too much here. So she is going to start out by sending out an Aerodactyl, and I think, well, rock type, right? So I'm going to switch to Feraligatr, but then that sets me up to get paralyzed by the second fight. So basically, if what you're doing here is working, just stick with that. So yeah, I switch over to Feraligatr to try to get out of that rock slide, but the animation's too long, so I end up getting hit by the Hurricane as well. I knock out Aerodactyl with the Liquidation, and then Starmie kind of throws me for a loop here because Starmie knows Thunderbolt, and I end up getting paralyzed, and that really does mess me up. So I'm basically panic spamming, trying to get that Starmie killed as quickly as possible, and then the Frostlass is sent out, so I hit it with a Liquidation, which again, the damage is just too strong, and it's just able to bust right through it. I honestly should have just used basically any other Pokemon on my team, but you live and learn. Now here, I should have definitely kept out Feraligatr again, because Feraligatr could easily destroy this team coming up, but once again, I make the wrong decision to switch. So we have an Arbok coming out, which is going to die to basically any Earthquake, which you should have on your team on somebody. So I panic switch over to Tyrantrum. I should have just kept out Feraligatr and Mega Evolved and then Liquidationed. So then I use Earthquake and I switch back to Feraligatr here because I know that I have Ice Fang for the next two grass types. And it just basically kind of really throws me off kilter because this Go-Goat is able to survive with like basically 1 HP. So now I'm really on the back foot because you don't want your sweeper to be this low. You basically want to save, you know, as much power as you can for the final fight. But thankfully, the Ice Fangs are able to cut through these last two, but it's really unfortunate that that Go-Goat was able to survive with 1 HP. Now here, this Gyarados is a problem, but keep in mind Gyarados is quad weak to electric, so I immediately switch to my Pangoro, who knows Thunder Punch. I probably could have used Ampharos here as well, but Pangoro attacks incredibly fast, as you'll see, like his punches just come out crazy quick. So I switch over to Pangoro immediately because I know this Gyarados is going to get obliterated with any lightning attack whatsoever. Down it goes immediately. And then this Dragonite actually does quite a bit of damage to my Pangoro, more so than I would want. I start with Power Up Punch, which doesn't do anything, but it does increase his damage. And then I'm basically spamming his punch attacks. But unfortunately, again, probably the wrong choice. I should have switched to basically Feraligatr and use a Dragon type attack because he's able to just deal so much damage to my Pangoro to the point where I'm just spamming punches here like, please die. So definitely not the best tactic there. I should have used a different Pokemon, but was able to get through with pure punching. And then here is where the mistakes are kind of ramping up and it's do or die, because what I should have done was just Mega Evolved Feraligatr right out of the gate. I have an Ice type move and I have a Dragon type move, although Feraligatr does get the Dragon type when he Mega Evolves, meaning their Dragon type moves are also going to be super effective against Feraligatr. But I should have just Mega Evolved and basically get attacks out immediately because Feraligatr's damage would have been so strong here. So Drampa is going to set up, and as you can see, the Ice Fang doesn't kill, but it would have killed had I been Mega Evolved. And then things get a little dicey here, but I also do have a decent amount of Pokemon left. Probably should have switched to Chandelure here for the Skarmory and Mega Evolved the Chandelure at this point, because then we could have hit him with a Flamethrower, and that would have obliterated the Skarmory. Now, this Stealth Rock is really bad. You really have to watch out for this. That Stealth Rock has ended my run here so many times, so just be aware that Skarmory, if you can't get it killed immediately, is going to use that Stealth Rock, and you have to be ready for it. Now, finally, we're going to have a Mega Tyranitar, so you definitely want to save your strongest Pokemon for this. Again, had I not made so many mistakes, I definitely would have just Mega Evolved Feraligatr and then used Liquidation, and it would have destroyed this Mega Tyranitar, which is going to be Rock and Dark type. But because I made so many critical mistakes a little bit earlier, I'm basically having to switch to all my Pokemon and spam out their strongest abilities as he is sweeping my team. Again, this wouldn't have even been a problem whatsoever had I just not basically gotten paralyzed and so much damage onto my Feraligatr, but it is what it is. So I send out Pangoro. I know that I immediately need to Giga Drain to get some HP back. We're going to Power Up Punch, and then one more attack, which comes out so quickly, is going to take down the Mega Tyranitar. So definitely it got really messy there near the end. It normally would have not, but again, just made some stupid mistakes. But that is how you defeat all 10 of these battles in a row, and hopefully this video is just helpful as well, just because you can see what you're going to be facing. I would say the biggest problem is definitely the Toxic at the beginning. If you can get around that, you're pretty much good, especially if you know what's coming down the pipeline. So hope that guide helped. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Hey, it's me, GV, and thank you for watching that video. If you would like to see more, there is a ton of bonus completed series and more to come on the Patreon right up here. Also, check out these videos. And then finally, if you would like to support this channel and become a member, you can do so by clicking join under the video, and you'll get early stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll see ya in the next video.